brand new bombshell reporting from the Wall Street Journal that might explain why Donald Trump appears so anxious and, frankly, flat-footed when it comes to releasing documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. The Wall Street Journal citing senior administration officials in its reporting that when Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a, quote, truckload of documents related to Epstein earlier this year, they discovered Donald Trump's name appeared multiple times. From that report, quote, in May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files, the official said. Many other high-profile figures were also named, Trump was told. Being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing. The officials said it was a routine briefing that covered a number of topics and that Trump's appearance in the documents wasn't the focus. Now, in response to this reporting in the Wall Street Journal, the White House has issued a statement to NBC News that reads, quote, the fact is that the president kicked him out of his club for being a creep. This is nothing more than a continuation of the fake news stories concocted by the Democrats and the liberal media, just like the Obama-Russiagate scandal, which President Trump was right about, end quote. That is where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. Staff writer at The Atlantic, Jonathan Chait, is here. Also joining us, MSNBC senior political analyst, my colleague Alex Wagner is here, and former top official of the Department of Justice, MSNBC legal analyst Andrew Weissman is here. Because this story dropped...
Right, so it's I'm going to watch, but it's pretty much late in the United Kingdom. No, it's 11 o'clock. But I keep trying to understand what these people in the United States are thinking. I'm talking about those who are staunch supporters of Donald J. Trump, of President Donald J. Trump, which is fine, absolutely fine. But the way Donald Trump always say, you have to use your common sense. Somebody is your friend for 15 years. There are many videos of two of you partying with girls around you. And somebody like Donald Trump, who has said that he's attracted to beautiful girls, that when he sees them, he just wants to grab them and start kissing them, that he can grab them by the P-U-S-S-Y and they won't do anything. Somebody that has had so many women come to say, Donald Trump groped me. Donald Trump sexually assaulted me. And this person was hanging out with a non-pedophile for 15 years. And Donald Trump himself said they are very good friends. And the now deceased pedophile said he was very good friend with Donald J. Trump. And these supporters, I don't know if they are trying to deny, if they don't want to believe that Donald Trump is in the fire. Last time they had this flight log, Donald Trump was in it so many times. Somebody who cheated on his first wife with his second wife, cheated on his second wife with his third wife. Somebody who said that what he had in common with his own daughter was sex. Somebody who said his own daughter has a tight backside. Somebody who said that if his daughter wasn't his biological daughter, he would be dating her. Somebody who told a 12-year-old that in 10 years' time, he would be dating her. If your best friend is a scammer and you're spending so many time with that best friend, you're partying with that best friend, you're hanging out with your best friend, you're making deals with your best friend, and he is a scammer or a thief, what makes you? What does the saying says? Birds of the same feather flock together. So these people are really thinking that Trump is not in their files, that Trump's name is not in those files. No wonder Trump can scam them up and down and they'll still fall for it. There are other people in that fire. There are so many high-profile Democrats in that fire. But guess what? They never promised to release the file. The Democrats had the file. From what I know, from what I've heard said, the Democrats had the file. But because they knew that that same file, if they release the files, the names in the files are going to implicate so many high-profile Democrats, they kept their mouth. But Donald Trump came and promised to his people that he was going to release the files. Maybe he thought that once he wins the election, nobody will remember. I think that's what he was banging on. But his people love conspiracies. That is what they feed on. And now they want the files. No distraction is going to derail them. They want the files. They want to know what was going on. Who was an accomplice to Jeffrey Epstein? They want to know if Jeffrey Epstein working for Israel. They want to know. And Donald Trump makes things worse for himself. One day he says files doesn't exist. Another day he says the Democrats created a file. So which one is which? Is there any file or is there no file? And even if he says the Democrat created the file, you told your people that you were going to release the file. You told your people that you were going to release the file. And also, common sense, like Donald Trump says. If the Democrats had created a file, why would you create a false file and leave it sealed? Why didn't they use the file against Donald Trump? And some of his supporters will say, if there was anything in that file with Donald Trump's name, the Democrat would have used that. Think, there are also Democrats in that file. And there are so many Democrats in that file. And just like the experts are saying, Jeffrey was working for Israel and Democrats support Israel. So why would the Democrats release the file? Because there is so much to lose if they release the file just to get Donald Trump. So they have the options, and they saw that we can release the file to get Donald Trump, but our own people are going to be in deep shit. So we are going to find something else. We are going to create something else to get at Donald Trump. That is using common sense. But Donald Trump came, even though he was not really 100% saying he was going to release the file, because he kept saying, not to Epstein file, I think I'll release it because there's so many people whose life might be tarnished. But it was too late. You had already promised your people. People with their twisted, messed up brains, they were thinking, I don't even know why these people were thinking that only Bill Clinton was going to be in that fire. When you guys have seen videos of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein partying, you guys have seen all those videos. You guys have heard Donald Trump say Jeffrey Epstein was a good guy. You guys have heard Donald Trump say that Ghislaine Maxwell, that he wished him well. When you put all those things together, you know that there's something there. Donald Trump doesn't want to condemn them. And now they'll say Donald Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his resort because of his shady or because he was a creep. No, Candace Owens said it. That was because of a property deal. It was a business disagreement. That is why. But the supporters will never even take time because they love conspiracies more than things that are factual. Factual things are what Donald Trump has always said about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She was slapped 20 years, and you, as the President of the United States, you stand there and say you wish her well, that you don't know her. And when they asked Donald Trump, I don't really follow the case, I don't really know anything. That guy was your best friend. And by the way, when Donald Trump was partying with Jeffrey Epstein, all these people now were trying to say, no, he's not in the file, he had nothing to do. They were not friends of Donald Trump. Most of them were never Trumpers, being people who never supported Trump from the get-go. But because they discovered that Donald Trump was a transactional person, all you have to do is say nice things about him and you get back onto his good grace. The files would definitely come out. His name might be in the fire, but he might not have been doing anything shady. But I doubt it, because Donald Trump said, I am attracted to beautiful girls. I just start kissing them when I see them. I can grab them by the P-U-S-S-Y, and they will not do anything because I'm a celebrity. That is what he said from his own mouth. Remember also, he once said Jeffrey Epstein likes his girls young. Jeffrey Epstein likes his girls on the younger side. What does that say about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein? They are two people who know each other's secret. Anyway, people, we'll see how the story finishes. They are trying to hide it. They are trying to cover it. But I'm not sure it's going to work. If it works, then Americans are dumb. Dumb. You guys have already proven to us that you're dumb. But if you guys accept this time around, then your dumb is beyond dumb. Then you are the dumbest of the dumbs. You guys have to make sure that any person who did anything bad to any child must be held accountable. You guys should not let this go. They must be held accountable. Anyway, it's late. Guys, please, I really want to hit that 100,000 sub mark. I just want to get that YouTube play button. Even if I'm never going to get my channel monetized, that's fine. I just want to get that play button, and I'm hoping on you guys. Just keep that subscription button, keep liking, and comment below and tell me what you think about this case. Are we ever going to see those files? Let's forget about the list. Are we ever going to see those files? Let me know what you think. Have a good night. It's 11:30 in the United Kingdom, and I'll see you guys. Take care. Deuces.
I want to do a little bit more of letting this sink in for any of our viewers who haven't had a chance to read through it all before I turn this over to all of you. This, importantly, from the Wall Street Journal, which I think days ago found itself on the receiving end of a lawsuit from Donald Trump because of its reporting on this elaborate birthday card and drawing. So important that it's the Journal again out ahead in this story with a new scoop. It reads, Bondi also told the president at this meeting that the Justice Department decided to not release more Jeffrey Epstein documents because of the presence of child pornography and the need to protect victims. Trump and Attorney General Bondi, when the Justice Department reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called this truckload of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, they discovered Trump's name appeared multiple times. As we reported in May, they informed the president of this. The officials said it was a routine briefing. This is interesting. Quote, they also told Trump that senior Justice Department officials did not plan to release any more documents related to the investigation of the convicted sex offender because the material contained child pornography and victims' personal information. Trump said at the meeting he would defer to the Justice Department's decision to not release any further files. Andrew Weissman, just take us inside what this reporting is detailing and what it says to you.
Sure. So I think the main issue that people need to focus on is the schizophrenic approach of the Trump administration to this issue. On the one hand, they are saying we want to be as transparent as possible. And on the other hand, they're saying we're not releasing anything. So they, on the transparency part, they say we want to be transparent and we're going to go to court and we're going to ask judges to release grand jury transcripts. Now, they know that the law on that issue is dead set against them, so they can blame the courts when they say no. It's also in grand jury transcripts, the actual proceedings in the grand jury are the area where it's least likely that Donald Trump's name appears. By contrast, the part where they're not turning anything over is all of the voluminous investigative material, which the Wall Street Journal now is reporting, which is something that we sort of assumed had to be true, but now the reporting is it is true, which is that material has Donald Trump's name in it. And of course, shouldn't be surprising because there's so much reporting that the two of them knew each other and socialized with each other. It doesn't mean that Donald Trump committed a crime, but his reaction to this is the thing that's probably the most telling, because it certainly is he protests too much. But that material, and this is sort of the take home, I think, for everyone, and when I think about this, is that material, the voluminous investigative material that the Department of Justice has, that can be turned over right now, today, this minute. There is no grand jury requirement that you go to court to turn that over. So here, if the Department of Justice and the Trump administration is saying, oh, we want to be transparent, that is information that they don't need to go to the court and turn over. We just saw them do that in the Martin Luther King Jr. files, turning that over. So you really are seeing this continuation of a schizophrenic approach, and the Wall Street Journal reporting gives you certainly a motive for why they are sort of, on the one hand, saying we're going to go to court, and the other hand saying the stuff that's most likely to name Donald Trump, we are not disclosing.
I mean, Alex, we also get a little bit of the timeline filled in. Let me read a little bit more from this new reporting in the Journal. This meeting, they write about, set the stage for the high-profile review to come to an end. Pam Bondi had said in February that Epstein's client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review, end quote. Trump said last week in response to a journalist question that Bondi had not told him his name was in the files. The administration didn't publicly announce the decision until weeks later, the Journal continues, on July 7th, when the Justice Department posted a memo to its website. The statement, which was unsigned, stated that a thorough review had turned up no list of Epstein's clients, no evidence that would lead to an investigation of uncharged third parties, and no additional documents that merited public disclosure. It said that much of the material would have been sealed in a trial to protect victims and to block the dissemination of child pornography. Your thoughts about how far this reporting goes in filling in some of the blanks?
Well, I mean, I think it's enormously consequential. I think this is a huge stress test for Trump and his coalition, which, you know, it's not all of MAGA, but it is Stewart Rhodes, it is Stephen Bannon, it is Michael Flynn, it is a certain significant portion of his base that is animated by this notion that the deep state and the dismantling of the deep state are job number one for Donald Trump. It's bigger than any tariff war or any social safety net program or even maybe immigration. For them, this is the animating sort of factor in their support for Trump. And it's why Stewart Rhodes said Donald Trump's life was spared during the assassination attempts. He was here to dismantle this elite cabal and open back up our democracy, right? I'm paraphrasing. And they believe so much in that deep state that I think up until this point, maybe even till this article, Nicole, they believe that Trump was shielding the deep state and the elite cabal and not actually maybe just covering his own butt because he was implicated in these Epstein files. And now there is definitive information coming from not the New York Times, not the Washington Post, but Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, the same man who owns Fox News, that Donald Trump's name is not only in the Epstein files, Donald Trump knew it, and Donald Trump lied to the public about that knowledge. That seems really significant. You say that, and we have this information alongside the Department of Justice reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell. This would seem to tie their hands greatly in terms of what they can maybe offer her to help them out, because quite obviously it looks now like the president may be trying to hide something to protect himself and his own reputation. And if there is any deal, any pardon, anything with Ghislaine Maxwell, it will be in service to the president's own ends and not that of dismantling the deep state.
Well, it's so interesting, Alex. I mean, you start with Stewart Rhodes. You mentioned Stewart Rhodes, Mike Flynn, and Steve Bannon. They aren't just hardcore Trump. They aren't just hardcore MAGA. They are three recipients of pardons. The only reason they are freely walking the earth is because Donald Trump pardoned those three men. And they are on the other side of Trump and his Justice Department on this story.
Yes, it is an important data point, and it tells you the degree to which, again, this is the banner under which, like, at the expense of their relationship with the president, who they owe their freedom to, this is their cause. The deep state. And Steve Bannon said, look, it's not that he's going to lose. It's not that Trump could lose his entire coalition in the course of this Epstein saga. It's just that he could lose 10 to 15%. And that's enough to lose the House And that's enough to lose Congress in 2026 and the presidency in 2028. And I think that's real math.
Jonathan, Alex has made this point. We made this point. I mean, it's coming from the Wall Street Journal, I think about 65 hours after the lawsuit wasn't just threatened, but I think filed against the Journal, the journalists, and the parent company and Rupert Murdoch personally. What is the significance of these reporters and this news organization not being intimidated from following the facts wherever they lead?
It's really interesting to me that Donald Trump said openly that he went to Rupert Murdoch to spike the story. Murdoch said he would do it, didn't follow through, or at least indicated to Trump he would do it, which might have been less of a committal response than Murdoch meant to give. Didn't do it. And then Trump held up this fact as if it showed that Murdoch lacks journalistic ethics when really the opposite is the case. In fact, this would actually be a scandal under a normal president, that the president tried to go to a newspaper's owner to spike a damaging story about himself. But I think we should be a little bit cautious about how much the fact that it's the Wall Street Journal and not the Times or the Post is going to carry a weight with Trump's base. Trump has always defined fake news as anything that reports unfavorable facts against him. At times, there have been reporters at Fox News who have broken or confirmed unflattering information for Donald Trump, and he just says they're Trump haters, they're rhinos, it's fake news. And his base will just go along and just say definitionally any facts that Donald Trump doesn't like is fake news regardless of the source.